In many workplaces, we have the younger people who've just graduated college, just got their first job, or their first job in their studied profession. And then we have the older people who've been working and doing this same job for 20 plus years. Sometimes those older people who've been working for 20 plus years may not get the credit they deserve, or maybe these younger people feel like they can do their job better than these older people, even though the older people feel the same way about the younger kids. Let me tell you a story about Mary Stewart. She was a nurse. She was 62 years old. She worked as a nurse for, as I said, 20 plus years. And because of the current economic state of things, her smaller hospital, her rural hospital, got bought out by a larger hospital. Well, when this larger hospital bought her hospital, or the hospital she worked at, the management changed. So up until this point, when she got new management, she had been getting wonderful reviews, wonderful evaluations, and all of her patients always said how well she did and how easy she was to talk to and how comforting she was, and her managers loved her. And when she got these new managers from this larger hospital, she started feeling singled out. She started feeling like she was getting picked on because she was older, because she wasn't as technologically savvy, or because she wasn't able to do things maybe as quickly as the newer graduated students were able to. So then, all of a sudden, she's getting awful evaluations and terrible reports, and eventually she gets fired because of this. Not necessarily because she was incompetent or unable to do her job, but simply because her manager didn't like how old she was and didn't feel that she was capable. Everyone ages. We all, even ourselves, we go to work and we see these older people and we think to ourselves, I can do my job much better than she can because I'm so much faster. But we all get that old. We all work up until that point where we're that person that's a slow person at work. So maybe these ideas that we get in our heads of just because someone's older, they're not as capable, isn't really fair. Ageism is a stereotyping of someone based on their age. And it's becoming an issue the longer people live, the more our health technology gets better and better. People live longer. We're able to work more. We have to work longer because of the economic state. And nurses are feeling targeted because they're not able, or their managers might not feel that they are able to get their job done as adequately as they would have been 20 years ago. These nurses may not be entirely incompetent, and they are able to do their job. They're able to do their job very well, and probably better and more personably than these newer kids, because the newer kids are worried about making sure everything's correct. The older folks, they know how to do their job. It's mindless. They can do it and still be personal and make good connections and get wonderful reviews. But it might take a little more time. But managers don't see that as a good thing. All they see are the numbers. And if your numbers aren't high enough, you might be incompetent. And I think that when we think about ageism, why do we use ageism? Why do we feel that these older people are not able to do their job? What makes us think this? Just like, why do we think that someone is not as capable because of their skin color or because of their sex? Why do we think these things? Just because someone is older doesn't mean that they can't do their job. They can do their job very well, or maybe not. Maybe there is an instance in which they can't. But you don't really know until you walk up to someone open-mindedly and find out. You follow them and see what they're doing. It's easy for us to stereotype someone just by looking at them without taking any time to really get to know who they are as a person and how they do their job. In Australia, they begin doing surveys. They survey newly graduated RNs on ageism, on how they feel about the older generations. And they've taken this information that they've gotten from these surveys and they've used it to try and identify and to fix these problems. So Australia is actually doing something about this ageism issue that we are seeing more and more these days. They're trying to find out why we think this, what they're doing that makes us think this, and what can they do to fix it. Because older people need to work just as much as we need to work. And just because they're older doesn't mean they can't do their job. There's a quote I have. Noah Purcell wrote, "A man's age is something impressive. It sums up his life. Maturity reached slowly and against many obstacles, illnesses cured, griefs and despairs overcome, and unconscious risks taken. Maturity formed through so many desires, hopes, regrets, forgotten things, and loves. A man's age represents a fine cargo of experiences and memories." I think that's a wonderful quote that really speaks about ageism. Just because someone is older, they've reached this through all these hardships that we will eventually go through. We will be that person that we're looking at and we're judging. So next time you see an older person and you think, they just can't do their job like I can, just remember that you'll be that person one day.